To this day, one of my biggest regrets or one of my biggest disappointments is that I didn't get to play and make content for Tom Clancy's The Division when it first came out. Because I live in New York City. The Division takes place in a fictional version of New York City, and they did a ridiculously good job of creating a nearly exact replica of Manhattan. It was so amazing. I'm madly in love with the aesthetics of The Division. And when it first came out, my computer was trash, couldn't run the game, and then I got a rig that was a little bit better, just plenty of months down the line after everyone had pretty much decided that the game was trash, and I played it and I had a great time with the story. But the upgraded rig that I had still wasn't really good enough to run the game properly. Now I have a Ryzen 7 1700 and an RX 488 gigabyte MSI graphics card, and 16 gigs of RAM can probably run the game without a problem. But I don't know, if anybody listening right now would be interested in me doing a Let's Play of the Division story mode, which I did find decently enjoyable, let me know, and maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. I'm not making any promises. But I always regretted that I wasn't able to make content for that game when it first came out, because there was so much richness in the world that they developed, because they were creating a fictional world based on a world that existed. And they did a great job with it. And with the type of videos that I like to make, with all my emotions and my poetry and all that, I think I could have done some nice stuff with that. The reason I'm thinking about The Division a lot right now is because Destiny 1 and The Division were kind of direct competition when they first came out. They were sort of vying for the same audience, the people that like RPGs, but also like first-person shooters, third-person shooters, the shooter-looter community. Because before those two games, there really wasn't too much. There was this game called Defiance, which was based on a television show. The TV show was actually really great. The game was not so great. It was full box price when it first came out, and then it went free to play, I think, 2 months after it released. I'm not going to Google it. It's not that important. Just know the game was a flop, but it has hobbled along as a free-to-play shooter-looter for a number of years, and I'm pretty sure people are still playing it on Steam. I'll look that up. I'm curious. All right, there's 375 people playing it on Steam. Not that many, but I guess that's enough. But yeah, Destiny 1 and The Division were battling for the same audience, and in the end, Destiny, I think, won in terms of raw numbers, but The Division is winning overall in the battle between the Destiny franchise and the Division franchise, because as it stands in its current form, I think the Division is up to patch version 1.8. Obviously, I should have done all this research beforehand, but this stuff is completely unscripted, and I'm just rambling, so bear with me a little bit. Yeah, okay, so The Division up to patch 1.8. Destiny 1 is basically not a talking point anymore because Destiny 2 exists, and as soon as you make a sequel to your RPG-style game, it kind of pushes aside all the progress that you made in the first version. That kind of stuff happens all the time. It's like Diablo 1 to Diablo 2 to Diablo 3. The games, they grow and they mature, because, you know, when Diablo 4 comes out, all the progress that you've made in Diablo 3 isn't going to mean anything. Obviously, the stories are kind of connected, but you're not going to have your loot, you're not going to have your max level characters, you're going to be weak, and you got to earn everything again. So Destiny 2 comes out, is a solid game, but it's not... It's missing a lot of stuff, and what The Division has managed to do all along, that I wonder if even the first iteration of Destiny could even keep up with this, was they managed to have RPG elements that really get under the skin in a good way of people that love role-playing games. And I'm talking about the stats. I'm talking about the skill builds. I'm talking about customization. The level of complexity in the armor sets and the min-maxing and the stats, regardless of how balanced it is in the Division, is phenomenal. From my 200-something hours playing the game, I was going so deep down the rabbit hole trying to figure out, okay, if I get this armor set, if I wear 3 pieces of this armor set, get the 3-set bonus for the striker set, and then get the 2-piece bonus for this other set, then I'm gonna have these 2 bonuses at the same time. I got synergy going on. And that's what every person that loves role-playing games as a favorite genre, that's what we ache for. We ache for coming up with these skill builds that make us feel strong and cool and make us feel like we're doing something special. Even if everybody else can do it, it can be achieved by anybody. We want to be able to create a build that feels like it's been curated specifically for us. And a lot of RPGs don't necessarily have that. Final Fantasy XIV is an example of that. It's a fantastic MMORPG, but it doesn't have skill trees. It doesn't have enough build diversity. It doesn't really have any build diversity to where you feel like, okay, this is my character and I have made him into the perfect creation. You know, like you can have the max level gear, you can have the best items in the game, but you don't get to number crunch. You don't get to really get down and dirty into, okay, if I get 5% of this and 2% of that, and, you know, multiplicative versus additive, it gets crazy. But that's what we love, and the Division has that. Destiny 1, I never played it, so I'm not going to really talk too much about that. But Destiny 2 doesn't have it in full force. There's a level of customization there, because you really can make a very specifically tailored character, and I've finally made a couple of builds that I really enjoy in Destiny 2, and I've got for anybody that plays the game, I just finished the Prestige Raid for the 2nd time, and I have the full set of Prestige Raid armor, and I also have another set. There's another raid called the Raid Layer. And I have a set of armor from that too, and now I have 2 armor sets, and one of them I use for PvP, the other one I use for PvE. So I feel like I've actually made my character, my main character anyway, into something that feels pretty cool. But it doesn't go that extra mile. It doesn't get as deep as the Division. But at the same time, now that I'm thinking about it, there are plenty of things that Destiny 2 does better than the Division and will continue to do better than the Division, and that's boss design and raid encounter design. The highest level content in Destiny 2 is some of the best high-level RPG style content that I've ever played. I think I said that before. Maybe if anybody has a sound bite of me saying that, put it in the comments. But either way, the raids and the high tier boss encounters from the Nightfall strikes and stuff like that, they are top level stuff. Because that's the boss fights in RPGs. That's what you talk about forever. In addition to talking about your skill builds and how you made your character able to, oh dude, I was doing 9,000 damage every shot, and you're like, what? That's a lot of damage, bro. I know. You know, in addition to having that conversation, you have conversations about the boss battles. Final Fantasy X was one of my favorite RPGs on the PlayStation 2. And my buddy Jay played it as well, and there was a boss fight where I think what was the boss? It was Seymour. The main antagonist of the game was one of the main antagonists was a guy named Seymour, and there's a point where you have to fight him on this snowy mountain, and that's one of the hardest boss fights in the game. Like, the difficulty goes through the roof for no reason, with no warning on that boss fight, and I have very fond memories of struggling on that from when I was like 12 years old or something. And then when my buddy Jay is playing it for the first time, we talk about it, and it's like, oh, you had trouble on that boss too? Oh my God, it was so difficult. You know, and all that stuff. You bond over that. And then another example is in Final Fantasy XIV, when that first launched as A Realm Reborn, there were 3 main bosses that were part of a quest chain that you had to complete if you wanted the strongest weapon in the game at the time. And the first boss was Ifrit, so he was like a devil guy, or Ifrit, I don't know how to pronounce it. The next one was Garuda, the goddess of wind or whatever. And the third boss It was Titan. He was the god of the earth, or something like that. I don't know, but he was a big rock, and you had to beat him. And it was the hardest boss that anyone had ever seen in their lives. There was so much struggle that went into beating that boss fight. And to this day, several years later, whenever myself and Jay and a couple other buddies, Jake, if you're out there listening, was good. We still talk about the first time we fought Titan and the first time we beat it and all of the stupid strategies that everyone came up with to try and deal with that boss fight. And we have so many fond memories of spending stupid amounts of hours trying to beat this thing. So the boss fights are what you remember from RPGs as well. And Destiny's boss fights, I will never forget them. All right, I can guarantee 5 years from now, I'm going to make another video comparing some boss fight to the best boss fights of all time. Destiny 2 is going to be on that list because those fights are really cool. And they look great too. Destiny 2 is one of the prettiest games you can play right now. But so you know, it's almost like I don't know if there's ever going to be a game that's going to have the best of both worlds, where they're going to have the raid design, the encounter design that Destiny 2 has, combined with the RPG elements that exist in games like The Division, games like World of Warcraft, Diablo, where you really get to customize and make unique your playable characters. I wonder if there'll ever be this perfect marriage of the two, because it always seems like one has to give way to the other, because just something always seems to go wrong. But you know, in any case, I'm still playing Destiny 2. Oh my God, Rob, you still play that game? Yes, I do still play that, and I'm never gonna make an I'm done with Destiny 2 video. I should just cash in. I should sell out. I should just start making dumb, controversial videos all day, every day. Just, this is how you really fix Destiny. Like fucking stupid shit. If I have to read another post about that, which I will, as soon as I can go on Reddit right now, and the first post on the homepage for Destiny the game is going to be, this is how you really fix Destiny 2. Destiny 2 was never a good Destiny game, or the danger of not knowing your audience. Go fuck yourself, whoever wrote that. I don't care. No, you don't have to go fuck yourself if you don't want to. Look, I'm just a little bit tired of having these conversations about how bad these games are when there's actually a lot of really good stuff going on. There's a lot of really amazing, talented people making these games and creating these experiences that people get to enjoy, and it gets brushed over because of dumb controversies. You know, look, the last thing I'll say is I play video games so that they can transport me to another world, either temporarily or for hundreds of hours. And The Division, it did that for me when I picked it up. I think I got it in patch 1.2. I think the Underground came out for the first time, and I loved it, man. I loved it. I loved playing a game that was centered around the city that I live in. And Destiny 2, when I got that, when I first started playing it, it was a fun action movie. The end game is fun. It does exist, contrary to what many people will say. The RPG elements are a little bit lacking, but the boss design, the level design, the player versus player, it feels like Halo. You know, it reminds me, it brings me a lot of feelings of classic games that I used to play. So it is doing its job of transporting me to a different place whenever I boot it up. And that's what video games are supposed to do. The controversies definitely need to be talked about, but there's also a lot of good stuff that should be talked about as well, because what the hell are we playing video games for? Look, if you want to be a critic, then fine, go be a critic. Go work for IGN or some other company and bitch, moan, and complain all fucking day. I could care less what you do, but damn it, could we just have a little bit of fun? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not part of the game, all right, I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. In any case, I've been talking about role-playing games for about 15 minutes. If you can make any sense of what I've been talking about this whole time, then feel free to drop a comment if you have any opinions about Destiny, Of course, somebody's gonna come in here and tell me it sucks. If you've got opinions about the Division, you come in here, tell me that sucks too. But if you also have some positive stuff to say about either of those games or any game in particular, feel free to drop that below. I remember there was a guy that was saying I should pick up Divinity Original Sin, and I was going to, but it was only on sale for 10% off on the Steam Winter Sale because they know that game is popping, and I didn't have 40 bucks sitting around. So in the future, I will hopefully get to play it. So yeah, with all of that said, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I forgot to say this is iBluairJgR Gaming for Comedy. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.